Welcome to Elevate Springfield, where we will dive into strategies and stories that help you rise to your full potential. Each episode, we'll talk about how you can take intentional steps to elevate your life and your business while making a meaningful impact on those around you. Along the way, we're going to bring in the change makers from our community that are already elevating. We'll bring the actionable strategies, you bring the discipline and follow through, and together we can elevate Springfield. Welcome in, everyone. You are listening to Elevate Springfield. Appreciate you making us a part of your day. Robert Farrell here. Hey, looking forward to a great show, bringing you more actionable strategies that you can use as long as you bring that discipline and follow through, and together we're going to elevate Springfield. So today, got a great guest in line, Mr. Chris Hartsook, owner of Big Dog Construction. Gonna get his thoughts on personal and professional development, ways he has elevated his life and his business, including a lot of 10X topics, because he, as have I, have delved deep into 10X mindset and strategy. So looking forward to talking a lot about that as well. So let's get right to it. Chris Hartsook, right after the break.
Big Dog!
Hey you! Yeah, you! Standing in front of your drafty windows. It's time to let the sunshine in.
Call Big Dog! Big Dog!
An energy-efficient house and lower utility bills are just a phone call away with new windows from Big Dog Construction. And we even have a treat for you. 60% off your installation of your new Provia windows. Call now for your free in-home estimate so you can sit and stay comfortable.
Your local Window Depot USA.
Big Dog!
All right, and we are back. Joining me in the studio now, Mr. Chris Hartsook, Big Dog Construction. Chris, how you doing today?
Robert, I am doing great. If I was any better, they would call me Robert Farrell.
Oh, I love it. Well, it's great to see you. I've talked to you a lot recently, but haven't seen you in person for a little bit.
I know, it's been a bit. We've been running in tandem in like different universes, but
That's right.
It works.
Well, for those out there that don't know you, tell us a little bit about Chris. Let's talk about your background before we get into your company.
I tell you what, Chris Hartsook. My background actually is in engineering, and from engineering into construction, always a passion, drawing things on paper and then transitioning those into reality and being able to touch and feel them and see them and stuff has kind of been a passion of mine all my life. Even as a kid, I was sketching stuff wherever I could doodle, I was doodling. Mm-hmm. And got into the engineering part of things, mechanical engineering, kind of out of necessity because it was a trade I'd learned and an opportunity came up, so I got into that. And then when the opportunity came up to transition into more of what my passion was, I took a leap and stepped and jumped and went head first, and here I am.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I got some background in scouting as well, BSA, Boy Scouts of America program.
Probably a little more than some background. I think you've been in it quite a bit.
Well,
you're pretty involved the years.
I had 17 years as Scoutmaster, Cub Master and Scoutmaster combined later.
So when did you start Big Dog Construction?
So 13 years ago, we started Big Dog Construction. It was just myself, and didn't know what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. Again, I kind of started my own company out of necessity. I had 14 years experience with a previous company. I worked my way up from the field into running it by the time I left. And again, took that leap of faith, that step of faith, and head first into it. And it was do or die. And again, when you keep your eye on the prize and focus, you do what you got to do to make it happen.
After that first step of faith, what's the first thing you did as a business owner there? Maybe for the young business owners out there just getting started, what are some of the first things you did to, hey, I got to get this thing off the ground?
Well, I didn't sleep, that's for sure. But the first thing, and I had learned this back in my engineering days, the first thing is for young business owners that want to start, surround yourself with people who are already successful in what you want to be successful in. Get in those groups, get in those organizations, go drink coffee with them. Just sit down and say, hey, if you were starting over again, what would you do different? Or what would you do again because it worked? And that is probably the supporting off of each other will help you be better moving forward in the line or the lane you want to go in. So that would probably be the first thing I would recommend is do that. Put a plan together. Cool. That's one thing I didn't do was put a plan together. And the plan's where it's at.
What did you start out doing compared to what your business looks like now? Like, what services did you offer back then compared to what you do right now?
No, boy, they're totally different.
I bet.
So back then, again, when it was just myself, in my first year, I was doing anything and everything because, again, I had a family to feed. And so I was doing what I needed to do to put food on the table, bring the money in, to pay the bills. So we were doing anything. When I say we, I was doing anything from hanging pictures for someone in their house to remodeling their bathroom or putting windows in for them by myself. And then as that transitioned, I started bringing in people slowly. Because, again, I'd already had 14 years in coming from the field up through running the company. And so, but that was someone else's money.
Right.
Now it was mine and my reputation now. And so I slowly started bringing in people. I didn't want to grow too fast too soon because you can have some pitfalls and you don't want to backslide. And so where we're at now from where I was doing everything. I was wearing all the hats. I was sales, I was marketing, I was production, I was order procurement, I was customer satisfaction person. I was everybody.
And that's the reason for the no sleep, like you were saying.
No sleep, stress because
Right.
of that, making sure everyone was happy and the bills were being paid. And so that was what I realized, that you can't do it all efficiently. You think you can do it all, but you can't. So what I've learned over the years and with additional training and reading of books and stuff is that you've got to find the right people to put in the key roles to be able to do what you need them to do. It's basically the 4 M's. I hire someone in, I will model what I want them to do, they will mimic what I'm doing, then they will master that, and then we multiply that 4th M and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And so that's what we're doing different now from what I was 13 years ago is I have key people in the key positions that I need. I have an office manager that handles all the incoming calls. She handles all the accounts receivable, accounts payable. Again, I was doing all that before. I now have a showroom manager and designer. I was doing all the designing before. And again, late at night, trying to meet clients' needs that I put myself out there to make that happen. And so I have those people in place. I have a sales and marketing person in place. I have key people in the field and production, including myself still. So I'm still a hands-on owner and operator because, again, at the end of the day, even though the name is Big Dog Construction and not Hartsook and Sons Construction, I still take personal clout in that, and I want to make sure that everyone's happy and everything's going the way it should.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And doing that, having that process in place, having that structure in place, being able to scale and everything allows you to take on bigger and more projects. So what kind of projects do you have going on right now? What are some of the things that you guys do on a regular basis?
Well, so on a regular basis, so just keeping in that theme of what we did to what we are now, 13 years ago, it was one project at a time. Now we're running anywhere from 5 to 8 projects at a time, open at one time, just because the mass scale of where we're at. So, we're taking on new home builds, custom homes, full kitchen remodels, while our window exterior crew is out doing their thing. So we have multiple facets of our business now. And that was kind of a vision I had, because again, vision is what future success looks like. And I had that vision, and I knew that I wanted to have several tentacles of my business, the Big Dog umbrella company. And we've been bringing those to fruition over the years. And I still have more tentacles to fill. But that's the difference now, is that we're just doing more of the same on a bigger scale, though. Okay. Bigger scale.
Well, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about one of those tentacles here in a little bit.
We will.
I think we've got some cool stuff coming on for both of us here.
Definitely.
So
definitely.
Before we get more into the business, let's talk about a little bit of the personal side. What are some things you do to elevate your personal life?
Well, I tell you what I used to do and what I do now and have been for the past 5-6 years is totally different. Mm-hmm. So what I used to do was just get out of bed, bang my head against the wall as hard as I could, as long as I could, all day long, try to make $1. And then come home, fall asleep if I could, and then do it again. Repeat, rinse, recycle, do it again. And now I realize that my mindset was wrong then. And so now what I do to elevate myself personally every day is I have daily affirmations. Mm-hmm. I say them out. I'm successful, I'm wealthy, I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I have infinite potential and possibilities in my life. Now, if I can expand upon those a little bit.
Go for it, yeah.
So when I say I'm successful, that's not me being self-centered. That oh, I'm successful. It's just me, me, me. You know me. I've got the GC. Success is my duty that I wear every day. So it's success is my duty, not my success is my duty. It's success. So anything that I touch, associate myself with, including what I'm doing, my goal is for it to be successful. So when I say I'm successful, that's what I mean by that. And so when I say I'm wealthy, it just doesn't mean everyone thinks wealth of financial,
right, yeah, immediately goes to money and finance.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And so I know in my mind, in my heart, when I say those daily, what I mean by that. But so I can share with your audience is wealthy to me means, yes, I'm financially wealthy. I'm emotionally wealthy. I'm spiritually wealthy. And that's what that means to me. And making sure that I put a check in each one of those boxes. So, and then the happy part, that I'm happy. If I've checked the successful and I've checked the wealthy part in the financial and the emotional and the spiritual, those things, I'm happy. I try to be happy and do that. And the healthy part. So again, they all kind of tie into each other. So the healthy, I'm financially healthy. I'm physically healthy. I'm emotionally healthy. I'm spiritually healthy. Again, it's making sure those are in line with each other. And then as far as having infinite potential and possibilities in my life, everyone has infinite potential and possibilities in life as long as they're willing to take that first step to achieve what they're going for. And so those are my daily affirmations. And once I made that mindset shift and change, there's no looking back.
I love that. When do you do those affirmations? Is it multiple times a day? Do you do it first thing in the morning when you wake up? What does that look like?
You know what? I do it. I'm not a regimented guy that, my eyes are awake. I do my daily affirmations. I do it when I feel myself waning away from my vision and goal. I remind myself of it. Or if I'm driving, I have a lot of windshield time in my business and my company. And so with that windshield time, sometimes I'll catch myself drifting off on a wrong thought. And I'll be like, you know what? I'm successful. I'm wealthy. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I got infinite potential possible in my life. And when I say that, it brings me back to where I need to be. And so that's when I say it. My subconscious tells me when I need to say it.
Right, sure. So you mentioned, like healthy financially, healthy spiritually, healthy emotionally. I think a lot of people can relate to, hey, what does financial health or financial success looks like? They could put a number on a bank account or whatever. But what does emotional or spiritual or relational success look like to you?
Yeah, so emotional success, I'm throwing way back machine to the 80s and 90s of Stephen Covey, emotional bank accounts. And Stephen Covey talked about that. Everyone has an emotional bank account. And sometimes those bank accounts don't get enough deposits in them. You feel like you're constantly doing withdrawals from that emotional bank account. And you just get wiped out and drained. And you've got to refill your emotional bank account. Whether that be you're giving yourself positive affirmations or surrounding yourself with people who are successful in what you're wanting to do and getting that emotional feel from that going, man, I can do this. Man, if this guy can do it, I can definitely do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? That you are then putting your own deposits in your emotional bank account. And so that's what that to me is keeping that in check. And quite frankly, you and I are both givers. We give of our time, our money, we give of our emotions, our ear, or whatever, our advice when people want it,
right,
whether they want it or not. And so sometimes, I feel that, man, my bank account is low. And I've even expressed it to my oldest son too before. It's like, I don't have anyone above me to go, hey man, you're doing great.
Right.
You're doing great, to boost me back up. But I've been telling everyone else,
yeah, you're
hey,
the one for everybody else.
You're doing great. You're doing great. And I bring myself back and go, I need to fill my bank account back up, my emotional bank account. That's kind of, not to get too cheesy and deep, but that's me. That's me. That's what makes me up. And it's taken me a lot of years, decades to know that. You know what I mean? That all this stuff that I was filling in my head for all these years of education and seminars that I thought, why am I wasting my time with this? Why is my company I'm working for sending me through this stuff? It makes sense. When the mindset shift, the switch went on, it's like, whoa, okay, I'm here. I'm good.
So was there an impetus to that switch going off? When was that? When did you have that mindset shift? And was there something that kind of triggered that?
I think it was a culmination of coming up through the Wood Badge Scout training, the adult training I talked about, which rivals with Fortune 500 training that people spend tens of thousands of dollars for, and started going, wow, okay, you know, all these personal touchy-feely things that I used to, I'm a man, stay away from that, you know. It's like, no, open up, let it in. And I started putting them all together, and it was just like, it was kind of an overnight thing. There was no traumatic thing that happened. There was no financial burden that happened that, like, I'm at rock bottom. I got to do something different. I've always had that inkling in the back of my mind and in my gut, like, I'm here for a bigger reason. I just got to figure out what that reason is.
Right.
And I may never know fully what the full reason is, but it was through the scouting program that really things just started kind of like, hey, I'm here. And I started telling myself, because someone's like, man, your sons aren't even in the scout program anymore. Why are you still doing it? And my immediate, I mean, it wasn't rehearsed. My immediate thing was, if I help one youth and it changes their life, it was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was worth it. And that's why I do it. You know, kind of like with the CEO program that I'm a part of. If I help one of those students, and we may never know, and they may never know that, oh my God, I learned that from Mr. Hartsook.
Right.
You know, and they're like, wow, I may never know that happened, but I know it's happening. And so that's why I continue to do it and do the personal side of things and professional side of things like that. Because I treat my employees the same way that way. I elevate them. You know, I like to say we're an educating company.
Sure.
We're not a dictatorship company where you got to do this, and this, you know, or you're out of here. It's, hey, what do you guys think about this? I pull my management team together and today I just made an executive decision after we had a group discussion about, should we continue doing this as a part of our company? And I got full feedback from everybody. And then I made a collective decision. Here's what we're doing.
Yeah, based on the collaboration you guys had. Yeah.
Exactly. Because as we know, collaboration is the new currency.
No doubt about it.
It is.
No
We've
doubt.
got to be able to, you know, work with them on that. So
Yeah. So you mentioned on the healthy side, the physical side too. We've both been kind of on a health journey the last few years, trying to be a little more conscious about everything, right?
You've been more steady at it, as you probably saw when I walked in. I was a little wider than before you probably saw me. You know, I had some health things go on physically with my body, and I'm 13 months now with a new hip. And prior to that, you know, I'd lost 50 pounds.
Yeah.
And then put a little bit on while my recovery went on after the surgery. And then it got to the point where I didn't lose focus. No, I did. I lost focus on my personal health and focused on the health of my business and businesses, and stopped doing my personal health journey. And I finally got to the point where I'm not going all the way back to where I was before the 50-pound loss. And now I've got to go lose half of that again.
Get back. There you go.
So yeah.
You'll get that though.
I will.
That's right.
I see. Yeah.
Echo water bottle.
Back on that, on watching what I eat, and in the process of getting back on the personal training schedule and going from there, because I loved where I got to pre-surgery, and I don't like where I saw myself heading back to, because I was losing focus on everything.
Right.
I was tunnel vision on one thing and not keeping check on everything.
How important was that when you were really dialed in, having the physical health side? How did that help you on the business side and everything else?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing, Robert, because again, when you're physically healthy, it makes your mental health better too, because you're like, man, wow, I haven't felt this good in years. You know, and I'm quite a bit older than you, and I've always had kind of a bigger guy, even as a kid on up. And so I saw a huge difference, which we'll talk about a little bit later in my numbers. Big difference on my focus, big difference on my decisions I'd make and how quick I'd make those decisions and stick to my decisions after making them, whether they're good or bad. And it made a windfall. It did.
Awesome. What are some of the personal development type books that you read? I know you're a reader like me, or at least audiobooks. I know you use that windshield time for audiobooks, right?
I am more of an audiobook type guy. You know, I actually brought my list of my audio library here, and because I have so many that sometimes when I'm talking to people, it's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've heard of that. But, you know, really back when it started, back in my early days, Stephen Covey was the first one that I really was submersed in. They had a Stephen Covey course that we took for a 3-month period at the factory as where it was in engineering. And that's the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that started to open my mind. Again, I was in my 20s. I'm like, what is this crap? Why are we doing this? Why are we wasting our time on this? And again, I absorbed it, and some of the stuff was cool, but I'm like, I'm in my 20s. I'm too cool for this stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wasn't a family man yet. But Stephen Covey's really my first one that I dove into. And then over the years, there was other books that I would listen to and or pick up and read. Here, probably in the past 3 years, I really jumped hard into the Grant Cardone books, the 10X Rule. I've got all his stuff, obviously, in my audiobook, the 10X Mentor. How to win people and influence friends, or something like that.
The Dale Carnegie.
Yes, yeah. Those Sell or Be Sold. Again, the Closer Survival Guide. Those are all Grant Cardone books that I've gone. Be Obsessed or Be Average.
Oh, that's a great one.
You know what I mean?
Love it.
That's you just can't go wrong with that.
I think those are two of my favorites. Be Obsessed or Be Average and 10X Rule. Those are two of my favorites. I mean, you got 10X Rule sitting right behind me.
I see it. Yeah, yeah, and you've got the 9-Figure Mindset by Brandon Dawson.
Yep, that's a good one too.
You know what I mean? A lot of people are like 9-Figure Mindset. Well, just do
Start
the commas,
putting those on there.
do the circles on, the zeros on there, and the 9-Figure Mindset, and you'll understand what we're talking about there. And then here recently, I actually brought a couple of mine that I'm into right now. I had an opportunity to meet this gentleman and his wife. And his wife writes as well, Mac Story. It's not Mac's Story. That's his last name is Story. So it's kind of, when you see it, you're like, Mac Story? Why do I know about Mac Story?
Right.
No, that's his name, Mac and Rhea Story. And his is 10 Values of High Impact Leaders. When he, it's not a huge book, but he breaks it down into, he tries to cover 3 topics per each chapter, three key points. And what I found by meeting him in person, I had a lot of hours of discussion with him at a national convention I was at. And, Stephen Covey, he's a Stephen Covey kid, and he was in that, and he's been into that industrial workforce, and he would go in. It's called, the other one is blue collar leadership. So blue collar leadership, that kind of brings down what I would say the stuffies of the white collar. Now we're in the blue collar mindset, but we can be leaders. We can still be impactful and so forth. And how he would go into someone working a machine. He's like, he's just there, doing his 8-hour shift, bang, bang, bangs to bang stuff out. But that person has input that can be beneficial to everyone in that company. And he went in and would put together and help do that and and increase productivity, increase company morale, employee morale, and see a real big difference. So Mac's Story is, they're on audio too, thank goodness.
Right, right.
But yeah, and he's actually, he said, hey, here's my template for writing the book. Just give it a shot. I'm like, I'm down with that. Because
I know you got one in you here soon.
I do have a book in me. I do. That has been through the history of the scouting program and some themes and stuff. So that kind of is where I'm at with CPR. I'm performing CPR in my life, and that's commitment.
What does it say? What does that mean?
Yeah, CPR is your commitment, passion, and relationships. And so each one of those has its own book on each one, commitment and your passion and relationships, but how committed you are to what you're doing, whether it be good or bad. We want it to be good, but being all in, 10X that thing, be committed, and then be passionate about what you're doing, because people see it, they know it, they feel it, they hear it. You just be passionate about it, and that will help, again, elevate everybody. It'll make things happen. And relationships. In my business, as being in construction and other things that I do, like Grant Cardone says, the R in contract is relationships.
Right.
Your contact with an R is relationships. That creates that contract. So it's relationships. It's doing your checks and balances with everybody, that emotional bank account, making sure you're there for them, making sure they can be there for you. And that really is kind of my mantra of running forward, CPR. Performing CPR on your business, same thing. Checking your commitment level, your passion level, and your relationship level in your businesses. No matter what that business is. You could be a solopreneur. You're still going to have every one of those 3 items that you need to make sure you're good on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So So let's dive a little bit more into that. How are you using CPR? How are you using any of these other techniques that we're talking about on the personal side to elevate your business? I mean, I know we've talked a lot about personal, professional, and financial goals. I
Sure.
know you do that with your employees, but
Right.
yeah,
The PPF.
dive into that a little bit. Yeah.
So what I've done is really implementing. So really I was implementing and getting myself better with all these books. And then I would just trickle out to my employees, those that want to listen and stuff. But when I really dove headfirst into X with Grant Cardone program, Cardone Ventures, is systems is what I found I was missing in my business. I put key people in place and I was just telling them, oh, this is how I do it. Well, if they would forget or if they were sick or someone else had to jump in there, I would have to do it again.
Right.
Oh, I need you to do this. And so one thing that with the 10X program, because I did the 10X 360, which was a deep dive into my business, stripping it down, looking at the different components of it and so forth, and then seeing what systems were needed to be able to duplicate those positions and so that they could be repeatable by pretty much anybody that could walk into that position. And so we actually my whole management team is on Cardone U. Actually, it's Big Dog University. I had a white box for my
absolutely.
company. And my management team does daily training on Cardone University. And what that does is allows all of us, not just me, it allows all of us to be on the same terminology, the same vibe. They understand when I'm saying something in a certain way. They're like, yeah, I remember seeing that training. Yeah, I know what we're talking about. And so that has created a synergy in my upper level that we're allowing it flows down through into our production team as well, and even to our subs, to our sub trades that we use, our crews. And with doing that, it gets everyone on the same page. You've seen the pickup sticks game, if you remember that.
Absolutely.
You dump them out, and all these sticks are all different directions. I mean, it's just crazy. Sorry about hitting the mic. And so what this does has allowed me to get everyone's sticks in the same direction and put little arrowheads on them running the right direction. And what that allowed us to do, because this is our third year into the 10X, it has allowed us to set goals where we want them to be, our vision, what future success looks like, of where we want to hit financial goals. I share those financial goals with all my employees. Everyone on the team knows where we want to be.
How important is that for everybody, every single person, to know exactly what you're striving for?
It's very, very important, because what I found it eliminates is, why am I doing this so he gets more money? Why he's rich and here I'm just out here banging a hammer, and not doing it. I'm doing it. But when we do the common goal and everyone knows and sees in my actions that we all will win. Stephen Covey, win-win scenario. The company does better. I want my employees to do better. We get a big compliment. They get that compliment. It goes straight to them, not to me. It's their compliment. And so they know what our goal is. They know what our target is. And we are a family, not from a blood. I do have my oldest son that works in my company, but everyone else, they're not family. But we have the Big Dog family, and you take care of family. And we extend that on even to our clients. When someone becomes a client of Big Dog, they become part of the Big Dog family. We don't want a client for a one-time, we want a client for a lifetime. And when we all know that, and everyone in our company knows that's on payroll, our clients feel that.
Absolutely.
And they know that, well, they're not here just to get as much as they can from us from one job. They're going to be here for the lifetime for us. We've got some clients that we now work for the children of the clients that used to be our clients. And so that's kind of a neat feeling. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the scout thing too. I have scouts that were my scouts that now have kids that are at scout. I'm like, man, I am old. So that's why it's so important. It's transparency. Just being open with everybody, knowing what our goals are, what our losses are. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, we didn't hit our mark, but you know what? We really went where we needed to be. So just like in 2024, we had a goal we had a pretty lofty goal, a multi-million-dollar goal to hit for our gross sales. I kind of knew where it was. I was kind of, my office manager did, but I kind of knew where it was, felt like we were where we were going to be. And so I'm like, I just couldn't take it anymore. So in November, I checked, it was where we at? We were 50% over our goal. Mm-hmm. And we still had a month to go and several more clients to close on. Love it. And when I look back and talked with the team, I was like, that was that vacuum we created. We all just got aligned. We all knew what we needed to do. We have systems in place, duplicatable systems, replicatable systems, and we made it happen. And we didn't focus on the small stuff because the small stuff, the detail had already been taken care of in the systems. And now we were just focusing on hitting that goal.
Yeah.
And a lot of us didn't know we'd exceeded that goal already.
By a significant amount.
By a significant amount. When you're talking about multi-million-dollar goal and you exceed it by 50%. Yeah. So that allowed us when we were in November, kind of why I looked at it, because we were setting our budget for 25.
Right.
And what our gross sales goal was going to be. Then I realized, because 2 years ago, I set a 5-year goal of $10 million in gross sales. I didn't know how I was going to make it happen. I just said, hey, team, we're going to be $10 million gross sales company in 5 years. Okay. Begin with the end in mind. Another Stephen Covey point.
No doubt.
Begin with the end in mind. $10 million a year, that's the end. How we work from that.
Back into it, yeah.
And man, we are right on target.
Was that $10 million goal? Was that, I talk a lot about 10x goals and massive action and everything. Was that $10 million goal your kind of 10x goal when you started making that mindset shift?
It was, because in business, especially in, we're a small business in the financial sense on gross revenue. We're considered a small business. And there comes a point in any business, no matter if it's construction or not, you hit a cap, you hit a ceiling. Law of the lid, you're boom, you're there. And I got tired of just kept hitting that ceiling. What am I not doing? And I found it was lack of systems. And that system's holding back, and lack of key people in those positions to get us where we need to be. And we blew through that lid. And now, when I was getting to the end of the year last year, I was like, man, why are we struggling on X, Y, and Z? Well, because as we know in business, there's break points. Right. And we were at the top end of a break point that I didn't think we were going to be at that break point that year. And we were ready to tip into the next break point, but I didn't have things in place to get us to the next break point. And so that's where the 10X mindset, the 10X training, the 10X, everything there is has just, it's there. It's there.
Walk us through a little bit about the training and the coaching that's involved there and how important that was to your growth.
Yeah, so the training and the coaching, as in the coaching that I took or the coaching that I give, or the
coaching that you took first, like going through the 10X 360 and how they coached you through that.
Sure. So I went to a business summit. At the business summit, they from A to Z of, if you're starting out, here you are, here's what you need to do, here's sales, marketing, blah, 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 training like that. And so I'm like, okay, that opened my eyes to a lot of things. I'm like, okay. And that's where they're like 10X. What's your gross volume? Let's 10X that thing. And so that's easy. 1 million, 10 million. Okay, there's 10 million. Okay, right. Yeah. And then set it out there and work back from it. And what I have seen, because last year was a product of it. Brandon Dawson talks about it, and Grant a little bit. But if you just focus on that, we should be over 10 million in 5 years, because we'll have so much momentum, so much energy, so much synergy and energy going company-wide. And sometimes you get other businesses that help achieve even higher goals. Hence kind of what we have with the coaching. And so that coaching and training, so I took on the Cardone University training myself, and then I'm like, my companies do this, let's do it. And then I've taken financial workshops, I've taken marketing workshops, I've taken people workshops, Natalie Dawson's book, Teamwork. That's where the personal, professional, and financial goals, working with your employees on helping them achieve their goals too. Really, it's again part of that family. It's making everyone be able to win. Some people may only have a goal, and I'm not pointing anybody out. I won't say any names, but I talked to one of my employees. I said, what if you could, if money was an object, how much would you want to make? What would you want to do? He's like, oh, I don't know, 80,000. I'm like, how about 180,000?
Right, exactly.
How about 180,000? And, again, until some people's eyes are opened up to what's possible, I can get pretty much sometimes I can be too much for some of my employees, and I have to learn to dial that back.
Sure.
And know my audience. And, but, it's like, okay. Then he's like, oh, hey, all right, I can achieve this type stuff, or I can buy a new house. And that was one of the things that I was able to witness. One of my longest term employees was when they first started, young, single. Now they're married, kids, able to buy a house. Mm-hmm. I've watched that transition, watched them grow and evolve. And I feel that a part of that. It's kind of like watching a child grow and all that.
Love it. So you mentioned, eyes being opened. You and I both have had our eyes opened by the 10X methodologies and mindset, and like you said, the systems in place and everything through ventures and all that. So as part of that, one of the tentacles that you mentioned earlier from the Big Dog umbrella, we opened up Big Dog Business Coaching here, and talk to us a little bit about some of the services and opportunities that are available through there.
Well, I tell you what, with the Big Dog 10X Design and Build Business Coaching, and it's kind of the play on words of the design and build. We're going to help you design your personal life, your business life, and then help you build it. And with that, we've got opportunities of one-on-one coaching, one-on-one mentoring, from fresh startups, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. We can help you navigate those first windy, curvy roads. We can help you define that vision, what it looks like. When I first heard that 20 years ago about what the definition of vision is, of what future success looks like, it's so simplified. What does future success look like? And we can help you figure out what that looks like. And it may evolve and change over time as you mature and grow in your emotional and professional and all of that aspects. So we've got our youth programs,
Absolutely.
Explore for Success, 13 to 18, 13 to 17, 13 to 18 age group, to help them kind of figure out what path they may want to go on and get great training and experience opportunities from your division of that.
Yeah, no, it's been great. We the career exploration aspect of that, the networking piece, the 10X mindset and goal setting, just to get the positive attitude, get them thinking bigger, like you said.
Right.
Sometimes you just don't know until somebody opens your eyes to it.
Than just their town they live in,
exactly,
or the school they go to. I mean, the world is bigger than that.
Yeah, and even the growth of these students just in the past 6 or 7 months that we've had it going has been enormous. Both career wise, finding out what they want, but then also on the personal side, we had one student here. One of his goals, we set goals all the time. Weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals, and everything. One of his goals was to podium, is what they call it, at an archery tournament. And just about a week and a half ago, he did just that. He scored perfect scores 2 days in a row to get the silver medal.
Wow.
He had been striving for that for a long time. So it's just, little things like that to where he early on didn't think he could achieve that, but through that mindset shift, through that big think, that 10X think, he's able to, achieve those goals on both sides.
The massive action.
Yeah, massive action.
Well, and then as they blossom out of that Explore for Success, then we have our Young Professionals division, which would take them from 18 up into the 25-ish range. Ones that are really, and we see them. They're kind of the cream of the crop. They kind of raise to the top. And we're there to help support, again, whatever their next journey is. They still may not know what their career path is. I mean, there's a lot of people that comes right out of college or right out of high school, and they're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so that young professional division that we have with our group Zoom calls, we can also do individual coaching calls with them if they want, all kinds of different programs. And we can also, I guess I should back up a little bit on this Explore for Success. We have the youth Cardone training, youth university
youth
that they can
university
do.
as well.
And then so in the young professionals, we can get them into the Cardone University. I guess kind of be the Big Dog University if we wanted.
Sure could.
Young professionals, again, so they understand it's not that Grant Cardone is a know-all, tell-all, but when someone's a multi-billionaire, they've done something right. They didn't win a lottery. They won the lottery of life because they're like, hey, we can do this, and man, this makes sense. Let's train everybody and educate on how everyone can be that.
Right.
One thing that Grant says that I really love, and I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but one thing that Grant says is there is enough money in this world for everyone to be a millionaire. There's over 8 billion people in this world. There's just I want your listeners to wrap their head around that. Over 8 billion people in this world, and there's enough money on this planet for everyone to be a millionaire. You just got to know who's got your money.
That's right.
And how to get it.
Yeah. And then the follow up to that is he said there is no shortage of money, just a shortage of people going after it.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Exactly. And so as we help them from the young professionals, then we can go into our full-blown coaching programs for whether it's someone that has transitioned, kind of like I did, transitioned from one engineering into construction, 2 different fields there. We can help people make that transition. We also can help seasoned entrepreneurs, business owners, that they've hit that ceiling, they've hit that lid, how we can help them get to that next breakpoint, next level, next plateau. And that, again, can be, we've got our group Zoom calls that we can do. We also have the one-on-ones. Usually in those, the one-on-ones work out better with a once a week or once a month type group call on that, where you're kind of bouncing off. Again, surround yourself with successful people doing what you're doing. And so that's kind of what we have to offer.
And that's one way, like with the individual, especially if somebody is a business owner, it's a great way to grow their business, like you went from 1 to 10, right? Going from 1 to 10. So you use some of those same strategies and coaching methods to get our clients to there.
Exactly. Help increase their sales, help increase their intake, and not just financially, not on the monetary amount. We can help them personally too if they want. I think we have some good things to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the Big Dog 10X business coaching is, it's not just business. We can help you with other things too.
No doubt about it. You can head over to bigdogbusinesscoach.com, find out more there, see some of the programs we have available. I know, Chris, you've been a mentor to a lot of folks. You've talked about the young folks that you've worked with through CEO and everything, but how important has coaching and mentoring been in your life?
So I had heard this expression a long time ago, didn't believe it, where the best way to learn something is to teach what you know. And so, teaching something or helping someone that's been successful in what you've learned, and to get on point on that is by me helping someone else, it helps me 10 times more, because it just resonates more with me when I see it work in the person that I'm helping coach, or the person I'm helping mentor in the CEO programs, or in the scouting programs, or in the coaching programs we have. Even our employees, our teammates, even my family members, it just helps. And another one of the armbands I wear is the no negativity allowed.
Yep.
And be
wear
positive.
That one often too.
Be positive. So I wear every day, have for several years. When they snap, putting them on, I'm like, I've got another one. I put it on. Or I literally have given this to someone before, the no negativity allowed one, and be positive, because they needed that be positive part, and kind of use that. It's kind of a shield. Someone starts throwing negativity at you, you're like, oh, sorry, it's not allowed here. But you know what it is? Being positive. And so that coaching and sharing that out there help. I don't want to let it out, but it kind of helps me more than it helps them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel it makes me a better person by doing that. Again, I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal. Not at all. I want everyone else to be on that pedestal, but sure feels good to be able to help people.
No doubt about it.
Does.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about both of us being givers, a couple of Cardone quotes, about give, and service is senior to selling. I've always had a heart of wanting to see people succeed. I've worked with young folks for many, many, many years, but my heart is for seeing people go through their personal and professional journey. So what does that look like to you for your company on your construction side, but then also on this coaching side? What does that give, and service is senior to selling mean to you? So
that was one of those other mindset shifts I had back in 19, about 6 years ago, was I was focusing on the sale and not the service. And when I literally made that shift to, we're here to serve our clients, not sell to them. Money, we didn't focus on the money, we focused on the service. And when doing that, it opened up my business to be able to go out and help in the community, get involved in the community, all the communities that we work in. And we work in a lot of communities. That's when we started working with the CEO program, the high school senior CEO programs. and giving back to that, sponsoring the baseball teams, sponsoring the wrestling teams here in Springfield, working with the horseshoes, the Lucky Horseshoes, because they've got a phenomenal outlook on making that community better. And we want to be a part of that, because the more we give to the community, we're going to receive tenfold back. Mm-hmm. That's not our goal to receive the tenfold back. It's just the law of nature. Right. It just happens. And so they coincide personally and professionally, business-wise. That's just me, and that's how the company resonates that same thing of giving. I'll see somebody on Facebook that says, "Hey, my kid's doing. I just did it yesterday. My kid's selling these for his band. They're not even around here.
Right.
You know what? I Venmo'd them money. Gotcha. I said, here, let's hope they get what they're wanting. Hope they hit their goal. Mm-hmm. I don't know their kids, but they're doing the right thing. And I want to be part of that. And so that give until it hurts. Right. I don't want to be an evangelist up here, behind the podium and the pulpit doing that. But yeah, just give until it hurts. And it's such a great feeling. It is.
Completely agree. So, Chris, we've had a lot of great takeaways already. But how about you give us one more strategy, even a 10X strategy, one for your personal side, one for your professional side, that we could give our listeners before we close out?
Isn't something they can do to help themselves?
Yes, anything they could do to help elevate their personal and professional life, one for each side.
For the personal side is figure out what affirmation you need to tell yourself daily from a personal standpoint, and do it. And just do it. And you could be regimented. I've seen people have Post-it notes on their mirror in the morning that has that positive affirmation. Mm-hmm. So they see it every day, multiple times a day if they look in the mirror at night before they go to bed. That positive affirmation, that daily affirmation is key for personal. And so from a professional standpoint, what I would suggest is find a mentor. And this isn't a business sales pitch. Find a mentor, find a coach to help you achieve your goals. If you don't know what your goals are, we can help you define what those goals are. And then when you reach those goals, set higher goals, set bigger goals. And again, like we talked about, they can be personal, they can be professional, they can be financial. But you need to have and know what those goals are. Otherwise, you're just walking aimlessly through this life.
I love it. Yeah. Well, Chris, if somebody wants to do business with you on the construction side, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
I tell you what, you can get on our website, bigdogcc.com, like bigdogconstructioncompany.com, or they can reach out via phone to us, 833-2-BIG-DOG. Real easy to get a hold of us that way. Instagram, Facebook, we're all out there on that as well. Just slip us a DM in our socials, we'll reach out to you.
Cool. And if anybody out there wants more information on the coaching and mentoring that we are offering through Big Dog Business Coaching, head over to bigdogbusinesscoach.com, or you could follow us both on socials as well. We would love to get a hold of you. So we're going to let Chris get back to elevating Springfield, but for the rest of you, we'll be right back after the break. You have a good one, Chris.
Thanks, Robert.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Standing in front of your drafty windows. It's time to let the sunshine in.
Call Big Dog, Big Dog.
An energy-efficient house and lower utility bills are just a phone call away with new windows from Big Dog Construction. And we even have a treat for you. 60% off your installation of your new Provia windows. Call now for your free in-home estimate so you can sit and stay comfortable.
Your local Window Depot USA.
Big Dog.
Hey, Chris Hartsook, how about him? Great stuff. A lot of great takeaways for y'all. Hey, at this point in the show, I typically relate what we talked about with our guests to any 10X strategies, mindset topics, things like that. But with Chris, most of what we talked about was 10X strategies and mindset. So I like to talk about, I discuss being in the right room a lot, being around people that are going to allow you to stretch and grow and find your success. If you're in a room where you're the smartest person there, the wealthiest person there, the most successful person there, it's been said you're probably in the wrong room. I spent last week at 10X Growth Con, and if you've never been to one of those, that is certainly the right room. But if you haven't been there, unfortunately, that was the last one. It was the 10th and final Growth Con. It was out in Vegas last week, 3 days. and I spent those 3 days listening and learning from some of the greats in their field. Of course, Grant Cardone and his entire team, they gave a lot of great talks, but we also heard from multi-billionaires, people that run multi-billion-dollar companies, these folks that have had tremendous success in their life and in their business. And some of the themes from the few days, one of them was, success is attainable for all. Most of the folks that spoke over the 3 days came from very, very, very humble beginnings, did not come from money for the most part, and did not really have a lot of people around them to guide them towards success. They had to find that, and they had to strive for that. They had to get in the right rooms. They had to get around the right people to help them along their way. So every single one of them said that success can be achieved by everyone. You really just need a big idea. You need the right people around you. And then you need a system to be able to capitalize on that big idea and monetize that big idea. We heard from folks like Jimmy John, the founder of Jimmy John's. His story was really interesting. I'd never really heard his story, even though he's, really started up just down the road from us. He originally wanted to do a hot dog cart in Chicago. But the reason he didn't end up doing that is because he didn't have enough money to buy all the equipment. And he found that the equipment needed for a sub shop was a lot less. So he ended up starting that business instead and grew that company tremendously. And now he himself is worth about $1.3 billion. So grew from one shop to, thousands of shops across the country. So a huge success story from somebody that, started just with an idea and grew that and wanted to become really the best shop, the best sub shop. And that's what a lot of them talked about there too. Along with that idea, they were committed to being, to growing a great company, not just making money. They wanted to create a phenomenal company. They wanted to be the best. Another thing we talked about a lot over the 3 days was marketing, the importance of marketing. And pretty much every single one of them said that marketing was kind of the primary driver of everything. It is essential, and you have to be able to be everywhere, be omnipresent like we've talked about before. Being consistent and persistent in your marketing is key. We had Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank fame. You may not know, but he's also grown, scaled, and sold multiple companies now as well, billion-dollar companies. We also had folks like Charlie Kirk and Eric Trump, which talked about kind of the political side of things, but also how that relates to personal and business success. We've had celebrity types like Ryan Reynolds and Martha Stewart, which when it comes to marketing, they both have marketed their companies and themselves extremely well. We've had other folks like Gary Cohn, just a star-studded lineup from the business world, the political world, and even the celebrity world. We also talked about 10X Health. You've seen me talk about 10X Health quite a bit over the year, or not over the years, but over the weeks on the podcast and also on some of my 10X tips of the day. So if you haven't checked out some of the 10X Health precision testing, I would certainly recommend doing that. I've done that precision test by myself. I'll put the link to that in the show notes, but that precision test goes through your genetic makeup and then gives you recommendations on what you should eat, what you should not eat, and it also gives you a protocol for working out and the ability to have a personalized supplement protocol. They've created these micro beads where you take a sachet of them every single day, and it has the perfect amounts of supplements of each individual vitamin and mineral, especially formulated to your genetic makeup. You know, they were the first ones to come out here and do this, to be able to personalize this protocol for you. So each batch of your vitamins are made specifically for you with your genetic makeup in mind. And also they are time released to where you get the vitamins you need when you need them throughout the day, and also combined with the right vitamins and minerals that won't counteract each other, which is what happens with most, store-bought vitamins. So if you haven't checked out 10X Health, I would certainly recommend doing that. I can get you more information there. Along those lines, if you're in the health, wellness, longevity space, Ben Greenfield was part of the panel that spoke on 10X Health. Really cool to see him there. I listened to a lot of his stuff over the years. So he's a spokesperson and kind of advocate for 10X Health as well. So unfortunately, if you haven't been to a 10X Growth Con yet, you're not going to be able to make it one, because like I said, over this past week was the 10th and final year. Now, Cardone Training Technologies and Cardone Ventures has plenty of other events that you could take advantage of that I'd be happy to get you more information on. They have 10X Business Summits. We have marketing execution workshops, sales execution workshops, people essentials, leadership, things like that. A lot of great content, both in person and online, from experts in the field. I'm going to do a little more deep dive on what I learned at GrowthCon in a future episode, but wanted to give you some of the quick shots of it today. You can head out to my social and find pictures of everybody that was out there. Like I said, star-studded, always a great conference, learning from the best. So we're going to be right back with more after the break. Hey, everybody. If you like what you've heard so far, hey, join us over on Facebook. We have a group and a page over there. You can also join our free community where we will bring you additional insights and strategies to help you elevate your life, your business, and ultimately our community. You can find that link in the show notes. We would love to have you join us. Let's get back to it. Well, thank you for joining us today, everybody. Appreciate you making us a part of your day. Big thank you to Chris Hartsook for spending the afternoon with us. How great was that? A lot of awesome takeaways for y'all. So we're going to be back at it next week. But in the meantime, take these actionable strategies. You add that discipline and follow through. And together, we're going to elevate Springfield. We'll see you next time.